All right, you guys, we're back.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Yates. So again, today we're just talking about career exploration. So the standard that we are coming from Okay. So the standard that we are coming from today is W7, and that is to conduct a short as well as more sustained research project based on focused questions, demonstrating understanding of the subject under investigation. So what we are going to be doing research on is various careers that you guys could possibly pursue. So we were discussing just last week the book The Giver. In The Giver, there are certain ceremonies that take place. So for the ceremony of the ones, they get named. For ceremonies of the 9, they get a bicycle and learn how to ride that. And then when they are 12, something happens. They are able to step into what is known as their career. So ceremony of the 12, they get their assignment. The way that they get this assignment is based on aptitude. Aptitude is their natural ability to do something. So the person that assigns them with their careers are the elders, I believe. So the elders follow them around throughout their lives, find out what they're interested in, find out what they show the most interest in, or they're just overall natural abilities. So in school, it is not like Mrs. McCullough, Mrs. A, or me can follow you guys around and say, hey, they do this really well. You can only have conversations with you guys, or just kind of see what you do within that 7-hour span that you guys are with us. So one of the things that is used to determine if you qualify for a job or a position is taking an aptitude test. So we're just gonna pretend that today is the day that everyone turns 12. So today is a big day of your celebration of the 12. You have just reached the age of 12, and now it's time to find out what your career is. You will be participating in your aptitude test to make this determination. This will reflect your likes and your dislikes. Over the course of the next 4 to 7 years, you will be required to learn the necessary skills to complete your daily tasks. So in this class, most of you are in between the age of 11 or 12. So you're either starting middle school or coming to the end of middle school and transitioning. So the things that you learn in school will be needed for the position that you will be put in. So these include things like math, learning how to do calculations. This includes possibly being able to write a research paper in order to do a science experiment to come up with the next vaccine. This also may include other things such as, so we did math, we did writing. You might end up writing the next law, as we talked about. There are certain petitions you might be writing. But in order to determine if you could fit this job, you have to do your aptitude test.
You might have to do an aptitude test in college. I had to.
Yeah. So when I first started college, If you don't necessarily know which field you wanna go into, they have you take this test. They have you take a math test, a written test, possibly even a reading test to see where you level off at. And then they give you your classes. So I did this, and when they gave me my classes, I went to a machine and I put my classes in, and then they gave me a day that I start. And this was actually at Columbus State, where they're now offering the free tuition. So these are skills that you have to learn while in school, so you can pass these tests and maybe not be required to take so many courses. Okay. You're all right. You're all right? Open link in new tab. I'm not done yet, just yet. I'm trying to get the aptitude test to come up. Aptitude. It means your natural abilities. So this is just an example of an aptitude test. On this one, you will tell what your dislikes are, your likes, or maybe you're kind of in between about it. So I'm just gonna go through and we're gonna select maybe some things we don't really care for and things that we could possibly see ourselves doing for the rest of our lives. So I've kind of discussed with you guys about some things about myself that I enjoy writing. So when I first went to college, I said, maybe I'll go for writing. Since I want to write books, I like writing plays, I like writing poems, so I'll go to school for that. But after a while being at school, I said, I really rather this be a hobby rather than having to do this every single day to make money. So then I went to school for nursing because I thought, wow, I really enjoy helping people. I've also known some family members to have certain health issues. So I thought if I had the knowledge, then maybe I could help them and they would be able to live more prosperous lives. But at the time, I had a lot going on in my life, and there was no possible way that I could study for hours on end to make sure I had the certain knowledge to be able to care for patients on a daily basis. So then one day I was sitting and I was having a conversation with someone I knew, and something sparked in me. She said, you could go into a career where you can help close the gap in learning. You can help kids that may not have the necessary resources that they need in order to be successful, and just kind of explaining some more things to me. And I said, wow, that is exactly what I want to do. So after that conversation, I began pursuing education. I came into the district as an instructional assistant. And after about a year, which it was a learning curve at first, and I thought, is this really for me? But the more that I stayed in the district, I began to love the aspect of watching children grow and learn. I've had quite a few situations where teachers are like, oh, I just can't get them to do this. Had some kids climbing under tables, didn't want to color, all types of things. But I said, well, if they're gonna go under the table, I'm gonna sit down here with them. And guess what they did? They began to cut, they began to color, they began to do whatever activity they needed to do in their own comfort zone. Yeah, so I actually currently work with preschool. Right, so of course, you're coming into a new environment. You're like, heck no, I don't want to do this.
Not in front of people, I think.
Yeah, so as a teacher, you have to find strategies and make it fun and entertaining. Maybe they need a little break. You might have to dance around a little bit to get in the swing of things. So after that, I wanted to learn more. And the more that I learned, the more I wanted to pursue this career. So with that being said, it may take some time for you guys to figure out what you want to do. I'm now coming up on 30 and I'm just now figuring out what I want to do for the rest of my life.
I didn't at least take you your whole life.
Right, it didn't take me my whole life, and that's the thing. As I explained to you guys, you might not know what it is that you want to do right now. You might not have that 3-step plan. Right now, the main focus I want you guys to focus on is your education. So that might be the first step to your plan to start your career. So after taking your aptitude test, we come to career interests. And again, as you can see, one of my highest interests is creating. I love creating when it comes to writing. I like to imagine how characters play out in a story. I remember in about maybe first grade, we had to write a story about a talking shoe. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. So I wrote this story and my mom literally showed just about everybody and said, wow, how did you put all these words together like that? And then in about middle school was when I started writing plays. And I actually wrote one of these plays so well that the teacher had to ask me if it was real life. And I said, nope, it's all in my head. So there are just some things that come naturally to you. My second thing has always been helping. I've always wanted to help in one form or another. I always wanted to help.
I like persuading people.
Persuading.
And that's one of my I want 100%.
Okay. Absolutely. And I believe that you do an absolute great job. When people are having challenging days, the way you explain things to them, to persuade them that it's gonna be okay, I absolutely love that about you. So, yeah. And because and we also just talked about life experiences in general. I've always been told that, sometimes you may not necessarily know why you're going through certain things. Maybe you struggle a little bit in certain subjects or, just things in life in general. One day that will no longer be a struggle for you. You may come across somebody that needs the same help.
Like when your parent asks you, what's the problem, and you're like, I don't know.
I don't know. Right.
My mom, she's always like this,
Yeah.
You don't say anything.
Yeah.
It's like, I know, it's just I can't put it.
You don't know how to put it into words. Yeah. Which is still me. I'm still learning how to put things into words. So for me, when I couldn't put things into words, I wrote it down. So these are just the different rates for your interest levels. And then it explains what those interest things are. So Elijah said his is persuading. Persuading jobs involve leading, motivating, and influencing others. persuaders like working in positions of power, social influencers, to make decisions and carry out projects. So there's a possibility that you could come across a group of kids when you get older that went through similar situations like you. And you can put together projects to help them to be successful. So there's a project that I'm familiar with called My Father's Project. In this group, it's for individuals that may be in single family homes. They could be in some not good home situations. It just all depends. And in this group, there are mentors that help the kids think a little differently. They also provide things like Christmas gifts every year and just do different activities with the kids to help them want to be successful. One of the guys that's a part of it also owns his own business. So with that business, he's employed a couple of people. So there are just different things that you could do that don't necessarily require you to be under leadership of someone else. Which, as we talked about earlier, Elijah started a business. Right now, you said, well, it's not technically all my business. But as you build those skills at the age that you are at, it will eventually become your personal business. Once you have those skill sets that you need to keep it running. Like in business, you have to be aware of accounting. So you know how much money's going in, how much money's coming out. But that'll come in time. So I think that's awesome too. Elijah, you're doing some great things. And I know all of you have so many skills that you haven't even tapped into all the way yet.
The $25 I'll put, but that was in there. So what she said she was doing with that, she said next year we're gonna start taking.
Yeah. And then me and Tez were having a conversation too. He said, you know, I'm good at this, I'm good at that, I'm good at this. And absolutely you are. That's why I want you guys to continue to be active in learning what you need to learn in school. The police officer said, you know, at a young age, I got a job. And one of his reasoning was he believes that young people, if they do take that route, it will keep them from a lot of other unfortunate events. So that's kind of why I, at a young age, just really gained a passion for education. I didn't want to get involved in too many things. So as we're doing research, we come to this. We come to our top job task, career, core values, your individuality. We're all different, and there's nothing wrong with that. The skills that you have, someone else doesn't have, but that doesn't mean that it's not needed. There's creativity, there's originality, creating something that no one ever expected. Freedom and flexibility. There's also your personality traits. And then once we keep going down this list, there's sample job creators. There's career fields for creators and also areas of study. So as I said, when I first went to school, I had no idea what I was supposed to go into. So this tells us what are the areas that we need to study. It might be fine arts, might be craft arts, performing arts, design, architecture, writing and communications. For a while, I even thought about communications. Does anyone know what communications is for? Yes. Do you know how to communicate? So, yes. So one way that we can use communications is a newscaster. Those people that tell you what's going on in your community, tell you about the weather. A lot of those people go into communication. There's film and media, public relations, or arts education. A lot of you guys are really good drawers. So there's actually a college that's specific just for art. And I actually know a couple people that have attended that school. It's a good school. It's expensive, but it's really good. Yes.
Another career in communications is your radio personality.
Yes. Which I think Tez would be great for that.
Me too.
Radio personality. So here are our careers. And guess what comes up for me? High school teacher, special education teacher, middle school teacher. So, as you can see here, it says read more.
I just find it so ironic how parallel our experiences are.
Yes.
It's almost, it almost seems too coincidental, right?
Yes. All right. So we're just gonna go through our paper that I handed you guys, the career exploration. So let's see, my job title would be special education teacher. As you can see down here, it's provided some duties that I would be required to do every day. This is what Mrs. McCullough does every day. The things you guys may not necessarily see. So, it says to assess student skills and determine their educational needs. She also adapts lessons and does your individual education programs and all those things. One of the skills that she might have to have is the ability to write well. IEPs are very lengthy. So if you do not have that skill set to write, which I know a lot of you guys don't necessarily always like to write things.
So this is
That's a skill set you would have to have. So if we keep going down, it says work environment. So this could be in an elementary school, kindergarten, there can be middle school, high school. These are the settings that you will work in. It also gives us a schedule. So how many hours a day am I gonna work? 7. But the great thing is this career offers you several breaks.
hallelujah.
Do you guys think that all jobs have breaks in between the year?
Not all of them.
No.
It's,
Like the army
what is it?
We don't give.
Teaching is one of them.
Yes. So as I told you guys, I have previously worked at the hospital. That is all year round. And guess what? When the snow is coming down and the roads are bad, guess who still has to go to work every day?
Everybody.
Everybody. Get a break.
We don't have to go to school.
Right, but if you work anywhere else, guess where you're at? At work.
But
So-
we're here now.
Yeah,
Have to be there, you know?
and they call you at all times of the day if you're a doctor.
And
You can be in dead sleep and they're like, come on in. Yeah. So one of the requirements that I feel is extremely important is that most jobs require you to at least have a bachelor's degree. If you don't have a bachelor's degree, do you think the chances are higher or lower for you getting into a career that you really wanna be in? Lower. So what is the likelihood of you staying in your job if you really don't care for it? Do you think you would stay? If you get somewhere, your boss isn't that friendly, people aren't that friendly, maybe the tasks aren't really interesting to you, would you stay there? No. So what about in The Giver? They follow you around all your life, find out what your interest is, and they say, hey, this is your job. Do you get to switch? Nope. Nope. Cause why? Who can change your job title?
The elder.
The elder. So what, let's just say,
What happened to?
what'd you
I
say?
don't know what happened if they got show up to work.
So I just want, well, we know what happens if they don't show up for work.
Elijah, get to work now.
What happens if
I
you
don't
don't,
have speakers in my house.
what happens if you don't fit in somewhere? In the Giver, what happens to
You
you?
get released.
You get released.
Into heaven.
You don't get to release, you get
You
released.
get released. Not just from your job,
From the world.
from the whole community. You can no longer be here.
They're gonna kill you.
Yeah. So the question I was gonna ask is, what if Miss Tinker was the elder?
Who he is.
Okay, so if she is the one that has the authority to give you your job, to give you set up your family, because their families were set up, how would you respond on a day-to-day basis?
I don't know. How did they even fall in love? Like, that's what I
We don't know. Keep reading. But just when it comes to your job, if she was giving you your golden ticket for your career that you would do for the rest of your life, what would you want her to see?
Well, I can't be a babysitter.
No, what would you want her to see to promote you?
What reports would you want her to get from your teachers?
My space report about it.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Ted. You got something? If Miss Tinker was your elder, and she was responsible for giving you the golden ticket for what you would do for the rest of your life, based off of what you do in school every day, what do you think your job would be?
That's not a job, huh?
Mm-mm.
You be released. That's not a job either, son.
What she sees, based on what she sees. Do you do your work?
You would be the errand runner, cause you're always broke.
Yeah.
You'll be secure.
Or that.
Maybe, yeah, you could be a security guard. I agree. But what if you go to her and say, well, I don't necessarily want to do this job? Do you guys do that? Do you say, I don't want to do this?
Yes.
I don't want to listen to you.
I'm not coming to class.
You gotta speak up so we hear you.
Yep.
Let 'em know.
So,
If you would've said that, I would've been like, I said, I don't
No,
wanna
you
do
wouldn't.
this.
but what if this was your only chance to be able to make money?
I just go something one day.
You
I-
would?
I just feel like you guys have never seen people get up and fall back down.
No.
Get up and fall back
Yeah.
It was us.
What I'm saying, overall, what I'm saying is the mindset that you have now can either help you in your future or it can hinder you. Because just like Miss Tinker, you guys are gonna have bosses one day. Or maybe you'll be your own boss and that's perfectly fine. But you have to have the determination to get the requirements that you need. One being education. So I said that you guys might not necessarily have a 3-step plan, a 4-step plan. Maybe right now your only plan is to come to school every day and get your education. And that's okay. So going back to our paper, talked about work environment, education requirement. So a lot of people might say, well, how much am I getting paid? Because this is big for some people. This is where a lot of people find their fulfillment. I told you guys that my fulfillment necessarily isn't in the amount of money I get. It's being able to know that I've had influence, that I made a change. So for this career, it says the median, which is probably you've had a couple years experience, then you would be making around $61,030 every year.
That's just with the bachelor's.
Just with a bachelor. But if you continue to pursue education, then you say, hey, I want to get my master's degree, then you would make more. Say, hey, you know what? I still want to continue my learning. Let me go and get my doctoral degree. Your money goes up. So with education, it can give you greater opportunities. Maybe necessarily you don't want to stay a teacher forever or whatever career you pursue. Maybe you want to go into something a little more high up, like a principal or a superintendent. Yes. Become an elder? Yeah, so maybe you want to be an elder. What qualifies you to be an elder?
Yeah, something you good at.
So in order to be an elder, I would think number one, you have to know what is required. Why do we need rules? Yep. Yeah, so it's to keep everything under control. So as an elder, you have control or responsibility over everyone else. As if you were a manager, you're managing individuals. But elders also had to know the reason behind why these rules were in place. That may require some education or just knowing the history or the background of it. So yeah, that was good, Tez. So future job outlook. So based off of the information you got, what is your overall outlook? What is your expectations of what you're pursuing? There's also similar applications. As I stated, you might start off in a certain career and say, maybe I want to take this a little further and go into a career where I'm required to do a little more. Maybe you just got bored with it and said, maybe this just isn't for me anymore. And then we also just talked about some qualities that you already possess. Tez's qualities are, I think, you're a really good people person. And that kind of reminds me of my husband. When we go out places, he's communicating with people and I'm like, what in the world? But it's actually a good, yeah, just random people.
You know, just be quiet and come on.
Yeah.
You are recording.
Yeah.
But it's a good quality to have. You can negotiate things. Elijah said his had a lot of, he had high rating in persuasion. when you have those communication skills, it can take you extremely far.
And it will.
It can open up job opportunities for you. It can get you into good colleges. It can help you to make business connections. There are so many things that that skill can help you with. Yes.
When we in Walmart, you know, something like that. And when you do this, you know, like you go to the toy aisle, watch you talk, I sneak up to that toy aisle. Then I sneak it up on the cash register like this. She was like, boy, did you pick this up here?
Oh, good.
You already paid for it.
Yeah, so these are all good qualities to have. So one of the reasons why it's good to do this, even though you guys aren't at the age where you are pursuing a career, it's good to know how to look this stuff up. Because once you do reach the age where you're going into college, you don't necessarily want to start over. If I would have had it my way, I wish I would have knew ahead of time, oh, I want to be a teacher. No one ever told me that. All my life, I've had these qualities of being a teacher, and it didn't spark in me until about a year ago. Oh, go get your degree. So that's why I asked you guys now, what are your interests? Because those could possibly lead to what you'll be in the future. All right.
I find it funny, it said right there, like, special ed teachers don't have to be licensed or certified.
I'm done.
Oh, did it?
With a bachelor's, did you see
What?
that
Whoops.
You done?
right there? Yeah, that's what we do in the state of Ohio.
Absolutely.
I think it depends on the state.
So some of the steps that me and Mrs. McCullough have had to take. Going to school at least a total of 2 years, at least. We're also required to take assessments. How on earth could we prepare ourselves for that? Is anybody in here a good test taker? Yes, no, myself. Good test taker. So when I first took my assessments for teaching, I thought, hey, I've taken so many tests before in my life, I'm gonna do pretty well. Well, when there's something important on the line, your anxiety goes through the roof. And that's kind of what mine did. So sometimes it takes you doing something repeatedly until you can perfect it. In your day-to-day, there might be certain tasks that make you discouraged, like writing, math, science, maybe art class some days. You never know. But when you keep at it, you'll begin to get the knowledge that you need to be successful. All right. So I think down here it just has ways that you can advance yourself or advance your career, personality, interests. Maybe you want to build your communication skills, critical thinking skills, interpersonal skills, or in this job, you definitely need patience. Definitely need patience.
Yes, you do.
And you also have to be resourceful. So this is just going on with more information. This is only one website that you guys could possibly use. There's many more research sources that you could use to see what you would like to go into.
We, you guys have access to the ONET.
Yes.
Elijah took his, I typically have you guys do it so we can incorporate it into your IEP and we start working on it. Sebastian said, I never thought that anybody would actually have us doing work about getting a job.
Yeah.
This is the only school I've ever been to where that happened.
Absolutely. So even, so you guys actually have the, aptitude test in your Google Classroom. So if you ever wanna go back through and say, I remember Miss Yates showed me this, maybe I'll go through again and jot down what's required of you on a daily basis, you may be able to begin to develop those skills now. Just like in the Giver, they have from the age of 12 years old to begin to perfect their skills so that they could be capable of having a career in justice or a nurturer or a construction worker. There's various careers.
And I think also that's why they want everybody to start doing the same thing at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone is on the same playing field.
Yes.
No one's better or worse than anyone, because we all start out at the same age.
Right. And do you guys think that's beneficial for
It's not hard.
you to start learning about your career at 12 years old so that when you become an adult, it's not as competitive? You don't have anyone saying, well, I have more education background than you, or I've been in this position for such and such a time, so that makes you a little less qualified.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you'll have individuals like this though. That's why I'm telling you guys now might be the good time for you to look into some stuff, plan your future ahead of time.
Like, we were talking about Serena being Miss Williams' father, Quinn. Everything that man said his girls would do, they did.
All the people. The interview was so,
Yeah.
but she lost the last match though. I think that girl that went to the bathroom, I think she was taking drugs.
Oh no.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she took.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Yeah, that's not a career. Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
All right, so that's pretty much the overview of career exploration. And just thank you guys again for listening and paying attention. I just want you guys to all be successful in life. Do not become distracted.
That's real, like you murdering your neck.
You guys have a lot of resources that you have now that we didn't have before. When I was in school, we read out the textbooks every day. We didn't have Chromebooks.
When I was in school, the teacher read out of the book, because there
Yeah.
wasn't enough books.
Right. So just take every opportunity seriously. All right, but that is the end of the lesson, guys, and thank you again.
Thank you, Miss James. Excellent. Why does it say playing music? Oh, because we're clapping.
Bye.
That was so good.
I think it was.
And I'm making sure I said.
Well, honey, like I said, your mama find out. That's on you, babe.
Well, I
Hold on, guys.
Oh, yeah.
At the end